Sorry, it's me, Maggie. I just wanted to let you know how much I missed you and how much I wish I could be at the benefit this weekend. I'm not going to be able to be there, unfortunately, because I have lots and lots of schoolwork and I'll be preparing for exams that I have next week, midterms. And I thought about coming, but if I did, then it's such a long way, I wouldn't have time to study at all for my exams, and I just have too much going on right now. So my mom and I decided that it really wasn't very possible. But I wanted to send this video, and maybe you can show it at the benefit if you want to. Just wanted to tell you how I'm doing, and wanted you to know that I love you and miss you. And Mallory and Jennifer, you too, and I hope all of you are doing well. School is going really well for me. I am taking 3 classes and mock trial, and I'm in my sorority, and I'm very busy, but in a good way. And life feels amazing. Every day when I wake up, I still can't believe that I get another chance at life. And I thought that by this time I would have kind of forgotten about last year and moved on, but I don't think that'll ever happen, and maybe that's best, because I'm very grateful for what I have now. I think about Odie all the time. Time passing since his death hasn't made things easier at all, and I haven't forgotten him. I never will. That's impossible for me. I wear my ring that Odie and I shared every day. I don't ever take it off, and every time someone asks about my scar or my ring, I get to tell them all about Odie. I wanted to tell you about the conversation Odie and I had, our last conversation that we really ever had, except for when I saw him at the St Jude prom. It was the time he was at St Jude and he was in the hospital because he had that big bleed, and I think everyone thought that that was kind of be the last few days of his life. And patients weren't supposed to be able to go in there because he had some kind of virus and I didn't have an immune system, but Dr. Papo knew how much I loved Odie, and so he let me put on an isolation gown and some gloves and a mask and go in there. And when I went in there, I sat down on a chair beside him, and I just started weeping because I knew that it was going to be our last heart-to-heart. And I told Odie that I loved him, and he just looked at me and said, "I love you too, Maggie. Please don't cry." And I think that showed who he was, because he was telling me not to cry. He was worried about me. He was worried about me being sad instead of worrying about himself. And he didn't look scared. He looked in pain because he was, but he just looked brave. And I told him that having cancer was worth it because I got to spend time with him. And I got to spend a year with him, and I got to meet him and get to know him and love him. And he told me that it was worth having cancer to get to know me too. And then I asked him if he was scared. And he said no, that the only thing he was afraid of was leaving people behind, like Miss Laurie and his sisters and his dad and me. And I never understood how he could be so brave, because I was not nearly as brave as him. And I knew I was going to be okay after a certain point, but I still wasn't as brave as Odie. And then I told him that I was going to make him a promise, and I promised him that no matter what happened, I was never going to stop fighting for both of us. Stop fighting for life, fighting to live, to beat my cancer. And it also meant I was never going to stop telling the world about him and spreading the story of his love and his courage and his faith and his love for life, because I think Odie's story has touched and changed so many people, and I think it always will. And what it also meant was that I was going to become a doctor, and I was going to become a cancer researcher, and I was going to fight against cancer for the rest of my life and help kids like me and Odie. And that's really what I want to do. And whenever things get really hard, whenever I think about him, and whenever I think of Odie, and I can't stop thinking of him, and I just feel like I'm in a million pieces because he's not alive, and I am for some reason. I remember the promise I made him, and I remember what I told him, and then I tell myself that Odie would want me to be happy, and that the only way I can do something for him to make him proud is to do what I promised him. And so that's why I'm at college, and that's why I'm studying hard every night, and that's why every time I meet someone, I get to tell them this wonderful story about my best friend in the world, Odie, and about how strong and brave he was. And every time I tell that story, I can see people being moved right in front of me. So you might know that I was going to work at St Jude as a researcher before I got sick through a program at my school. Hold on one second. And I finally got to start working there, and I just got my ID badge. As you can see, this is an official St Jude badge, and it has my name on it and my picture. And I've never been so proud of anything in my life, because this badge represents everything I want to do with my life, and Odie is a huge, huge part of that. I want to thank everyone who is helping with this benefit, and everyone who's donated money, and everyone who is celebrating Odie's 14th birthday. And I just hope that people know how important St. Jude is, and how amazing and what a wonderful place it is. But more than that, I hope that people know that childhood cancer has a long way to go. And you know, there are types of cancers that have 95% cure rates now, like leukemia, and then there are types like Odie's that just don't. And St. Jude needs more money for those cures to come about. And most of all, I just want all of you to know how much I love Odie, and how much he means to me, and how much he meant to me while I was going through treatment. Because there were days when I would wake up and think, I can't do this anymore, you know, I can't take another day of chemo, I can't go on with my life, this isn't worth it, I can't do it. Then I'll think of Odie, and how much tougher he was than how he was fighting and fighting and fighting. Even if his chemo wasn't going to help, he was still going to take it. Odie inspired me, and every single day of my life, he will continue to do that. Miss Laurie, thank you for giving birth to such a wonderful, beautiful person. And Jennifer and Mallory, thank you for helping to raise such a perfect little boy. And Mr. Terry and Miss Bridget, thank you for being a part of his life as well. And for everyone else in Odie's family and all the friends that have been around, that were around him in his life, thank you for whatever you did to contribute to who he was and who he is. And for all of you at the benefit, thank you for helping. And I hope you know how much this means to me and how important it is to me. And Miss Laurie, I love you so much. I'm so sorry I can't be there at the benefit, but please know that I'm there in spirit. and I'm thinking of you all day. I love you. Bye.